Good evening. Um, let's look at production function. This is basically production relates to physical output, to physical units or factors of production. In this process, variable inputs are transferred, which are in the form of output. Okay, this production means creation of utility or value. This utility may be in the form of place, utility, time utility, and service utilities. Okay. Uh, the meaning and definitions of production functions are given in the form of equation, and the meaning is explained with the help of the relationship between the inputs and the resulting outputs. Suppose here Q is production function, which is equals to F of K is capital, L is labor, okay, and LD is the amount of land, T is technology, etc. So all the inputs which are which enables in to produce an output are put together are the functions of production function. And this production function is defined as a maximum amount of output that can be produced with the given input. So given any amount of input, how much best they can produce, quantity in number is referred as the production function. And there are many functions which production function definitions which are given by the Samuelson. If you look at the production function is a technical relationship. It reveals the maximum amount of output capable of being produced by each and every set of output under the given technology of a firm. Now look at the features of production function. It is the characteristics of production function is all about a technical relationship between the input and the output, the economic importance, and it differs from one industry to another industry and also firm to firm. The significance of production function, if you look at it, is maximum output. And in the short run, the function is of two types. And in the long run, it is going to be variable, and all the factors of production are said to be variable. But in the short run, only few factors which can be changed. The production function explains how a firm can reach the most, best result out of the available inputs, and the production function also explain the firm as to how better they can combine the options. It helps to estimate the quantity in which factors of productions are combined. Okay. And based on which the production function lies is technology is said to be constant here, because any change in technology will lead to change in the production function, hence input and output. If any input is changed, there is a change in output. So hence we assume here that the technology is remained constant. It is always related to for a particular or specific period of time, because every time and duration has a different significance. So hence it is all about a particular time and place. It is assumed that the manufacturer is using the best technology. All inputs are divisible. Utilization of inputs is at maximum level of efficiency. Production function is a mathematical expression which is the physical input and the physical output is of an organization or a firm or an industry is been shown, and all these different types of production function which has the follows is Cobb-Douglas production function, a lenitive production function, and CS production function. Now look at the Cobb-Douglas production function. This is Q is equals to A, K, and L. A, K to the power of alpha, and B, L to the power of beta, where A here is denoted as a constant, positive constant, alpha and beta are coefficients. The K is the amount of capital and L is the amount of labor. And A is representing constant variable, anything which is unchanged. And the important features of Cobb-Douglas function are, it shows a maximum rate of output which is associated with the number of input combinations. Okay. And if you look at the example here, given rate of capital K is 8 to 7 shown here, and rate of labor L is shown as 1 to 8. And in this case, all the product factors of production, like if the capital input is 1 and labor is 1, then 100 it is. So on and so forth, how it is for each one, it is shown. Now, if you look at the table, the schedule which is given, maximum production is 283 units of units of output, where K is equals to 8 and L is equals to 2. The output here will be 400. Okay, the output is here at 400, where the capital is maximum and the labor is 4 there. Okay, the three important relationship here which can be discussed is the combination K and L. And the combination K and L, the best combinations here derived are 6, 1, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, and 6 with their resultant numbers. Okay. And here this indicates that the factors of productions are substitutability, and the firm can use intensive production process resources combination between B and C, and the concept of substitution is important. Okay. This is about Cobb-Douglas production function. And next we have factors in the short run, like employment, optimization of employment of inputs in the short run. Now, in that case, if you look at the total objective of a firm is profit maximization, which is, for every firm or industries remains same. But in the short run, there are functions which assumes that at least one fixed factor input in the production. So in that case, three measures of productivity, production and productivity, and they are total product, average product, and marginal product. What is total product? In any industry, whatever, where total resources are used in service or in knowledge, the output is intangible, and total excuse me. This total product is explained by quoting number of customers served. Average product. Now, this is measured per worker employed or output per unit of capital. Whereas marginal product is the change which is in total output from the change in total input. Any change is between total output from because of the change in total input is considered to be marginal in product MP. And in the short run, production function, time period is where at least one factors of production is fixed, and a business is chosen to raise their scale of production in this short run. The quantum of units of plant and machinery is fixed, and the production can be altered by changing variable inputs such as labor, raw material, and energy. Okay, now you can see in this graph how total output changes with that of total units of labor, if units of labor is considered to be a variable. Then we have law of diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns here, uh, the schedule is explained here, wherein the capital input, labor, total output, marginal, and average is given. Now see, if the total input is 20 and labor is 1, starting with 1, the total output is 5. Then marginal product, which is unchanged, is nothing, 0. And average product of labor here is all about, 1 divided, 5 divided by 1, 5. Now next you see total input is 20, labor is 2, total output is 16. Okay. Now you see from 5 to 16, what is the difference? From 5 to 16, the 11 is the difference. Okay. And 16 divided by 2, 8 is the average. Okay. 30 divided by 3, 10 is average. And from 16 to 30, the difference, the change which is happening in the total output, that is 30 minus 16 is 14. So on and so forth. You'll have to do for all. 24, so on and so forth you can do. And when you plot the graph here, you can see the returns. Okay, MC curve, output curve is marked. And if you see the MC curve is diminishing in the form of rising due to the declining returns in the short run. So initially the marginal product is rising when any addition to the input is happening, fixed capital, but later it starts falling. The total output will continue to rise as long as MP is positive. Okay. So this way, the law of diminishing marginal utility is explained. This is very important concept. Now, there are people who have, criticized this law of diminishing returns in terms of it's realistic. So assumptions on which the diminishing value of return is been diminishing return is being framed is said to be ambitious, successful business. The law of diminishing return is less relevant during post LPG, that is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. And nextly, if you look at the businesses with multi plants and having indicating the operate factories in different locations, they can switch output to meet the changing demand. So this is also not considered, and hence it has been criticized. Factors of production wherein fixed and variable inputs are. Variable input is an input which is in the short run, and fixed input is something which remains constant in the short run, but all the variables remains variable, becomes variable in the long run. Now, law of variable proportion. Law of variable proportion is very important, concept. Under this, the effect of output of variation in factors of production are studied. This is a law of variable proportion where the law of diminishing returns of classical economic is in proportion. And this law has played vital role in the history of economics, uh, which occupies an equally important place in modern economy. And if you look at the definition, it is any increase or any increment of one input is added, the input of the other productive services will be held constant. And beyond a certain input point, the resulting increment of product will decrease. The marginal product will diminish. Assumptions of law of variable proportions are diminishing returns as stated above. It holds good that under the following condition, that is state of technology, some inputs where the quantity is fixed, and the law is based on possibility of varying proportion. Okay. So when the factors of production are required to be strictly in fixed proportion, in that case, the factors will be zero and not diminishing. If, however, like see if the products require fixed proportion and are quite uncommon, then there are chances that law of variable proportion applies to most of the cases of productions in the real world. Now this is illustrated with an schedule: units of labor, total products, marginal product, and average. Unit of labor is given as 1 from 1 to 10. Total product in quintals is given as 80 to 480. And marginal product in quintal is given from 80, the change which is happening to the total product, that is 80 to 170, and the average product is given or, can be computed 170 divided by 280 by 1. The average, same unlike in the previous law of diminishing marginal utility, how it is computed, we can. Basically, if you look at here, the unit 1 to unit 7, the total product is increasing from 80 to 504. Okay. And this beyond this, the 8 units of labor, the total product is diminishing. That is coming down from 495 to 480 also. This is a fact which clearly is showing that the column 3 is going negative for 495 and 480. And the successive marginal product of labor becomes an extra labor and they are not required. So marginal product of labor, it may be recalled, it is an increment to the total output due to the use of an unit of labor. So it is seen that if you look at the third column, the marginal product of labor is initially rising from 1 to almost 3. And from 4 onwards, it starts losing, diminishing. So beyond the use of 8, it is coming even to negative. That means more the unit of labor is added, more the marginal product is diminishing. So in the law of variable proportion, there are 3 stages which is defined. One factor is combined with a fixed quantity. The result becomes a law of variable proportion. So this whole is divided into 3 in order to better understand. And here you can see the 3 stages, that is on the x-axis, amount of variable factor is given, and on the y-axis, total output is given. The price of inflation, it is rising. Thereafter, a point reaches at H where it is diminishing. The total product is plotted. Stage 1 and stage 2, you look at the stage 3, which is going diminishing. Stage 2 is slightly increasing, yet there is N to M increasing at a decreasing rate. Stage 1 is increasing. Okay. So the behavior of these total, average, and marginal products increases the amount of amount, which is generally divided into three stages. Stage one is referred as a stage in the total product TP curve, which is increasing, and it an increasing rate. And stage two, it is total product continues to increase but at a diminishing rate, where it is coming down. But stage three, if you look at it, is a negative returns and it is sloping downwards towards the x-axis. And there, if the total output is not being controlled, the change in the labor is not done, then there are chances that it will reach even the negative area as well, that it goes beyond below the x-axis. Okay, so yeah, why does it increase or decrease in the marginal returns? Initially, if you look at a cause which is increasing marginal returns, is in the beginning is uh, uh, any more and more units of variable factors are added to the constant quantity of the fixed factor. The fixed factor is more intensely and effectively utilized. This causes the production to increase at a rapid rate. When in the beginning the variable factor is relatively smaller in quantity and some amount of the fixed factor may remain unutilized, and therefore when the variable factor is increased, fuller utilization of fixed factors becomes possible, with the result that increasing returns are obtained. The question here arises why the fixed factor is not initially taken appropriate quantity, which suits the best quality and the variable factors. Now, the causes for marginal returns, diminishing marginal return is any increase in a variable factor. Initially, uh, the more effective and fuller use of fixed factor becomes possible, are as more units of the variable factors are employed to work. So, more employment, more the marginal returns are and when this is increasing, there are chances that the total product will start rising, but at the diminishing return. So there need to be a control. So this usually shows the level of employment of a variable in a variable factor, which is indivisible fixed factor being fully or efficiently unit used as possible. Okay, then we have negative marginal return. This is the amount of a variable factor which continues to increase to a fixed quantity at the factor and at stage where it is reached the total output, and declines the marginal product of the variable, and this becomes even negative also. Okay. So this in this chapter you have looked at the various diminishing returns to scale increasing and decreasing. Law of diminishing, law of variable proportion. These are very important demand schedules along with the graphs. Okay. And the same optimization employment of input. This was studied in the short run. Now it is in the long run, the employment of input factors in the long run. Now, because it is long run, the factors of production here, LKMR. Okay. Now, LKMR here is, here the factors of production, capital or machinery. Say, suppose K is, the capital, L is the labor, M is the material. So here we can say that any factor of production which are allowed to vary in quantity and increase and decrease in production function can happen is only in the long run. Okay. As the model production in the long run, we will only simplify the production function because almost all the variables are prone to change. Okay. They are not fixed. Anything can be changed in the long run. So hence we consider X is equals to F of L and K. Okay. And here L is labor and K is capital. Okay. If 50 is the labor and 200 is the capital, the output will be 100 units. If 100 and 100 equal amounts, 100 units. So 200 is the labor and 50. So anything modification can be easily changed in the long run is what we should here focus on. Okay. And because of these very characteristics of the long run, there are isoquant curves, and these isoquant curves are derived from a Greek word, and the locus of all such possible combination here are on the graph is called isoquant curve. And the very characteristics of isoquant curves are an isoquant is sloped downwards to the right, an isoquant is convex to the origin, it is smooth and continuous, and two isoquant curves never intersect. All these are the various characteristics, and the isoquant curves, if you look at, is a curve showing all possible combinations of the inputs physically capable of being given a level of output. So from this definition, we understand that plotting different combinations of inputs on a graph, an isoquant curve will provide us the best combination of input at which the quantity will become maximum. And look at this isoquant curves, okay, which has four combinations, F, capital, and labor. And the relationship between input and output curve is given as OL1, OL2, OL3, OL4. And whereas for capital, it is given as OK4, etc. Okay. Uh, now you see it is negative, convex to the origin, non-intersecting the non-tangential, and at the same time, upper isoquants have higher output. So this is the basic understanding of the isoquant curves, which has four different characteristics: convex to origin, increasing, non-intersecting, and isoquant curves are higher. Now, marginal rate of technical substitution. Now, technical substitution is wherein the combination input like L and K, the given output is explained here, which is referred as MRTS. Any change in K is divided by any change in L. And the resultant is plotted on the graph, which is calculate where you calculate MRTS at different points, where R, S, and T have been plotted. Now, different forms of isoquant curves, like suppose it is a linear isoquant curve. So this is how it, shows, and MP is where a small change in quantity will divided by, capital is equals to A here. MPL is labor. So change in quantity divided by change in labor is denoted as B. MRTS is nothing but labor and quantities is divided. MRTS is B minus B is divided by A. So this is how you can derive all the values, and then a demand schedule is, a schedule is formed followed by a curve can be plotted. Isoquant curve also can be in L shape, and this L shape curve is shown in the figure 10.7, where Q is equals to F of KL, which is equals to minimum K and BL. Now, for example, in case if K is greater than BL, then Q is equals to BL. And in case K is less than BL, then Q is equals to AT. Now, kinked in isoquant is wherein in the graph, you see this kinked, yeah, this kinks. This is the point. B is kinked, C is kinked, and D is kinked. Slightly they bend. That is referred as the kink behavior. Okay, and so the graphical representation of kinked isoquants are shown here for different production techniques which are used for fixed combination of capital and labor. Now, let elasticity of factor substitution. Factor substitution is wherein different varieties, the degree of elasticity, which depends on the shape of the isoquant. The shape of isoquant curve is sometimes linear. Factors of productions, factors are perfect substitutes. Elasticity substitution sometimes remains negative factors due to inverse relationship of factor ratio and MRTS. So elasticity of substitution would be less as the convexity of isoquant curve increases. Isocost. These are the factors which are combined to other factors when depends on the price of a factor and willingness of organization to spend on any factor. Now these are again plotted isocost curves. Okay. Shown in figure 10.9, 10.10a and b. Each isocost curve will represent different combinations. Two inputs are used and both of them are shown in the line locus of all combinations of factors, and the firm here purchases a given outlay. Expansion path and return to scale are few characteristics of the isocost curve. Constant return to scale. When x is equals to 400, x is equals to 300, and x is equals to 200 is given. Technology here is in doubling, and the production technology is leading to less than doubling of output. All the inputs here is doubled and decreasing returns to scale. The Cobb-Douglas production function is a mathematical function, and you look at the x is equals to a, l, and k, l to the power of a and k to the power of b. So basically, in the long run, l and k, that is land and capital, are only included in the production function, and substitution of any factors which becomes consistent with the imperfect substitution among factors here. And two, elasticity of substitution, if you look at the it is summarized in a single mathematical form which is known as constant elasticity of substitution, and this production function equation is x is equals to a of a l alpha divided by beta to the power of LP. Linear technology, and P is here the in negative infinity, the approaches. Okay. Economies of larger production of functions. So what all, you can reduce prices when the production scale is in higher, and in the long run there are so many benefits that can be derived, and all these benefits are summed up here in the form of technical internal economies. Okay, techniques, how to reduce it, marketing, managerial, financial, and many other in line. Okay, economics, research, welfare, economics, external economics, concentration, information, welfare, specialization, between relationship between internal and external. See, all this in the long run, because of the, there is no time limit. The firm can change almost all the factors of production, which leads to a lot of benefits. And all these benefits are summed up in these economies of scale. Now, what are the diseconomies of scale? They are the diseconomies are any internal or external diseconomies are limit to larger production. So they can be understood in the form of internal diseconomies like financial, marginal, marketing, and technical. And diseconomies of risk taking. Externals, if you look at it, leads to shortages of transport, power, labor, raw material, equipments. All such diseconomies lead to raise the cost per unit. But otherwise, these economies of scale is wherein the cost per unit is reduced. Because of some certain things, the cost will remain same, or at times it even might increase. Causes are poor communication, lack of motivation, loss of control, and cannibalization. These are the various, points which we can discuss. And the cause and the long run may, because it has got a lot of time, even these diseconomies can be even handled very cleverly. All right. So this is all about your block 3, and now we move on to block 4. Now, basically, initially, if you understand how the material is supposed to be understood and learned, the material is very clearly given, presented, so as to so that the students find no difficulty in understanding. The schedules are given, the graphs have been plotted. Okay. And each block has got its some importance, and where I trying to explain all these I have been highlighting. I hope all of you must have noted down, and please do focus on this. Okay. And now see, if you look at the cost concepts and analysis, this is all about the cost and the related, like opportunity cost, what is actual cost, business cost, explicit, implicit cost, pocket cost, book cost, fixed cost, variable cost, total, average, marginal cost, short run, long run, incremental, sunk cost, historical cost, and replacement cost, private and social cost. All cost related functions are explained here in this unit. Okay. uh, this particular total, average, and marginal cost, please do focus on this. Okay. Short run and long run cost. Short run may all the costs are not variable, but long run may almost all the cost becomes variable. And the short run cost are those which are associated variable, but in the long run, fixed plant, other facilities are associated with any change, and change can happen in the long run. Incremental cost is any cost that is referred to any additional cost, which is, incremental in managerial decision. Suppose R&D department, okay, is been, utilized, and the company is, is trying to acquire a new machinery asset. So for that new machinery, whatever additionally they can generate revenue is referred as incremental. Okay. And sunk cost are those costs which, is, an expenditure which is to be borne by the company because of the purchases, or because of the non, management of a particular asset, etc. Sunk costs are expenditures that have been made in the past, or that has been paid in the future for a contractual agreement. Historical cost is any cost that is incurred to acquire asset at that time of such acquisition. So it is about 2 days back, suppose you are investing in a land, and at that time, whatever the land price is, that is referred as historical cost. So two concepts here: due to price variations happen because of time. And this kind of conditions prevail because of the inflationary effects. Okay. And due to deflationary effects, it will have an inverse uh, pricing as well. Okay, next is private cost and social cost. This is all about a firm benefiting analysis of business decision. The cost here is defined by the firm, and the private cost is actual cost incurred in performing the day-to-day operations in the business, such as the cost which is involved for production, consumption, and the production and consumption of the operations of the product. And this FMCG company especially happens to incur a lot of private costs, whereas social cost is a total cost to society, which is being spent on benefit of the society, which includes various activities which they take up to control certain things like air pollution, smoking, etc., etc. So these are referred as social cost. Okay, so likewise in short term there are cost and analysis can be done and thing can be controlled. Wherein the short run cost function includes all labor, capital, technology, etc. You can see here the short run, is been given, schedule is given, where total fixed cost, variable cost, total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost, average cost, and marginal cost are given. All these can be computed. This is very important from the perspective of the examination. Total, short run total costs are plotted here. 12.9, that is TFC curve, which is parallel to x-axis and it is perpendicular, parallel TFC curves. It has no change. And now TVC curve, if you see, it is slightly moving upwards with a curve. So, but at a decreasing rate at time and then again increasing at an increasing rate. These are the short run cost curves. Okay, then short run average cost curves you see, average fixed cost. All the demand schedule is being plotted here one by one. Average cost is plotted, average cost is explained, marginal cost. Any additional change that is happening is referred as marginal. Okay. So the change which is referred due to anything, it could be manufacturing, making one or more additional unit of good or services added. Now you see short run may there were so many cost curves. Now long term analysis may how the total cost functions here differ. See, these are the return to scale of production. You see, rate of output is plotted on a y-axis and on x-axis rate input. And you see the first curve, 13.1 first curve, the total output is increasing. Total cost is increasing but a decreasing rate. Total output is decreasing. It's increasing. And here it is. The return to scale is increasing at an increasing rate. And the next year, last curves are constant return to scale, which implies the cost will change in proportion to change in output. So there is no curve here, constant. Okay. Returns to scale, we call it as the last two curves. Okay. In long run total cost function, it refers to minimum cost which is given at level of output which can be produced. So LTC represent least cost of different quantities of outputs. And this figure shows the same thing. It is increasing at a decreasing rate, then increases at a constant rate, and final at an increasing rate, which is shown here. So slowly it increases, again it decreases, again it increases. That is long run cost curve. And similarly, you can see short run, long run average cost curve, where a U-shaped curve. And in this, all these variables, now as we've been learning in the long run, all the factors of production can happen to change. So all these are small, small curves which are plotted on the big curve, that is U curve, isn't it? This shows that all of these individual factors of production, all of them, are prone to change. They can be changed. They are not fixed. Okay, and this return to scale, small curve, each factors had a different curve. Okay, now why there is in fall, a rise, and the average cost curve is, see, any when any variable when it is employed would bring some amount of output, some amount of output which should be lowest, considered to be lowest. So especially like when capital equipment and machineries have a higher output, there is a need for efficiency. All right. And in this case, it is increasing, but at a decreasing rate. Secondly, if you look at the economies of scale here, the decrease in the long run average cost curve here takes place because of the efficiency of machinery, and it is increasing. Okay. And here some economists even argue that the most of the factors here are flexible. They are available in large indivisible units and therefore yield lower cost of production. So when more is produced, lower cost of production happens. So if small output is produced, this will become more costly. So that way, second, stage is being defined, where it is considered that the fixed indivisible factors. Okay. And in the long run cost curve, if you see, the cost remains constant. That means LAC, long run average cost curve, it is constant. It doesn't change. And short run, many changes can happen. For the whole period of the long run is divided into small periods, short run periods, which are referred as SAC1, SAC2, SAC3, etc. And there is another type, which is saucer-shaped long-run average cost curve. This is a long-run average cost curve, which is very large flat proportion, where the economies of scale are exhausted. Okay. And here in the long run, a horizontal or a flat section in the long run is been created. This is emerged because of economies of scale, which are mostly because of technology type and maybe offered to these economies of scale. Okay. And similarly, we have profit concept and analysis, wherein cost, economic profit, theories of profits are there. All these functions of profits, how function profits can be CVPM, that is cost and volume. So you can see here, this is break-even point. This is break-even point, which is no profit and no loss. And this point is very important for any company. At this point, now the moment they attain this point, further whatever movements happen are considered to be their profit. Below this, whatever they've been earning, they just have to only ensure their existence, because they are just trying to make up their cost. Okay. So break-even point is important. And yes. And next, lastly, we have block 5, which is all about the market structure and pricing decisions. In this block, you see there are various market structure, like uh, oligopoly, monopoly, okay, market structures, number of sellers, number of buyers, product differences, how it happens, depends upon space, time elements, etc. These are all defined. And perfect competition is given, monopoly. In perfect competition, how pricing is done. Okay, this is the schedule. This is the graph which shows the perfect competition. And monopolist profit maximizing condition is given here in the graph in the perfectly competitive market. And thereafter, monopoly. What is monopoly and how the pricing is done at the monopoly? Okay. Now, for price discrimination is very important here in monopoly. Uh, and this is basically to earn more profits, to enter new exports, to destroy or forestall the competitions, to dispose occasional surpluses. So various objectives are connected to price discrimination and the conditions it lies with. Monopoly is by nature, sometimes legal, public monopoly, artificial monopoly, and bilateral between two or more single seller, or and even between two or more, we consider it to be bilateral. And we have monopolistic competition and oligopoly and duopoly. Again, each competition and how the pricing is done is explained. Oligopolistic competition, in this, the kinked demand curve, price elasticity, because they are considered to be the price leadership in a low cost firm. There is a kink here. You can see this is a kink. Okay, and price is rigid here. Similarly, is duopoly. Duopoly is a limiting case of oligopoly, wherein all the characteristics of oligopoly exist except the seller, where are only two against a few in oligopoly. Okay. And how the pricing is done in various market structure is explained. Concentrate on the meaning, and how the pricing is determined on each market structure, how the price forecasting is done. Okay. And yes. Pricing options and various methods of pricing can be concentrated on, right? So any queries, anyone, please raise up your queries, guys. Yes. All right. Wish you all the very best. Okay. Yeah, we will end up the class here.